Alexandra, so many emotions right now. First of all,
tears fell in Miami, but not from defeat or injury, from something far more powerful. A moment unfolded that no one saw coming, one that reached far beyond the tennis court and into the heart of an entire nation. Welcome back to Champions Tennis, your home for the most emotional, unforgettable, and deeply human stories in the sport. We've covered shocking upsets, legendary retirements, and comebacks that made crowds cry, but what happened here feels different. This wasn't about a scoreline or a trophy. This was about identity, sacrifice, and a tribute so meaningful it broke one of the strongest young athletes on tour. Before we go deeper, take a second and prepare yourself, because this story is not just touching, it stays with you. At the center of it all is a young Filipina star who has been carrying more than just a racket every time she steps onto the court. She carries expectations, pride, and the hopes of millions. Alexandra Eala is not simply another rising tennis player. She represents something larger, something symbolic. She stands as proof that talent can rise from anywhere, that even in a sport dominated by powerful systems and wealthy nations, a determined athlete from the Philippines can carve her place among the best. Every match she plays is more than competition, it is representation. She faces opponents backed by years of elite infrastructure, yet she stands firm, swinging with confidence, purpose, and undeniable belief. Right now, she is in one of the most critical phases of her career, pushing herself to break into the top tier of professional tennis. The pressure is relentless. Every point matters. Every performance is watched closely, not just by analysts, but by an entire country that has embraced her journey as their own. Now imagine this scene. Miami, one of the most prestigious stops on the tennis calendar. The heat is intense, the courts are fast, and the competition is unforgiving. The best players in the world have gathered, each chasing glory. Alex is there, fully focused, locked into that mental state athletes know so well. The tunnel where nothing else exists except the next shot, the next rally, the next opportunity to win. In that space, distractions disappear. Home feels distant. Emotions are controlled. Everything is about performance. And then, in a single moment, everything shifts. News reaches her from thousands of miles away, from the place where her story truly began. Back in the Philippines, something extraordinary is happening on national television. A broadcast that would soon ripple across oceans and land directly in Alex's heart. To understand the weight of this moment, you need to understand the voice behind it. Jessica Soho is not just a journalist. She is a symbol of trust, credibility, and truth. For decades, her presence has defined serious storytelling in Filipino media. When she speaks, people listen. Her words carry authority, but also sincerity. She is not known for exaggeration or empty praise. Every statement she delivers is measured, thoughtful, and deeply meaningful. So when she chooses to highlight someone, it is never casual, it is significant. And on this day, she chose to speak about Alex. Looking directly into the camera, with her signature calm yet powerful delivery, she began to talk about the young tennis star. What followed was not a simple mention or a brief acknowledgement. It was a full, heartfelt tribute. She spoke about Alex's journey, her determination, her relentless spirit on the court. She described the battles fought point by point, the resilience shown in moments of pressure, the refusal to give up even when everything seemed against her. Her words carried warmth, respect, and admiration in a way that felt genuine and deeply earned. And then came the line that changed everything. A statement so simple, yet so powerful, that it sent chills across the entire nation. She described Alex as a fighter, someone who competes with the strength of a warrior, someone who carries the support of her people every time she steps onto the court. It wasn't just praise, it was recognition. The kind that validates years of sacrifice. The kind that reaches beyond statistics and results. This wasn't a casual sports segment. This was a moment of national pride being expressed through one of the most respected voices in the country. Jessica didn't stop there. She went deeper. She highlighted not just the victories, but the journey behind them. The early mornings filled with training, the long days of practice, the physical pain and mental exhaustion that come with chasing excellence. She spoke about the sacrifices made not only by Alex, but by her family. The decision to leave home at a young age, to step into an unfamiliar world, to chase something uncertain but deeply desired. She painted a picture that was raw, honest, and complete. She wanted viewers to see everything: the effort, the struggle, the doubt, and the unwavering belief that kept Alex moving forward. She brought attention to the people who supported her along the way. Coaches who believed in her potential before it was visible to the world. Training partners who pushed her limits. Moments of loneliness that every athlete experiences but rarely shares. It was not just a tribute, it was a story told with care and purpose, designed to make every Filipino understand what this journey truly meant. And as this powerful narrative unfolded on television screens across the Philippines, it began traveling across borders, across time zones, until it reached Miami. Inside the tournament bubble, where focus is everything, the impact was immediate. The moment Alex heard about what had been said, something inside her shifted. The emotional walls she had built, the discipline she maintained, the composure she was known for, all of it cracked at once. This was not the reaction of an athlete responding to media attention. This was something deeper, something personal, because this wasn't just about recognition. It was about being seen, truly seen, for everything she had gone through, everything she had endured, everything she had given up. And in that moment, the strong, composed competitor could no longer hold it in. The tears came. Real, unfiltered, unstoppable. The kind of emotion that cannot be faked, cannot be rehearsed, cannot be controlled. Cameras captured it. Viewers witnessed it. And instantly, the moment spread. But what people saw was not weakness. It was humanity. It was the release of years of pressure, sacrifice, and silent struggle, all brought to the surface by a tribute that hit exactly where it mattered most. And that was only the beginning of what would become one of the most emotional moments in recent tennis history. What happened next is the reason this moment didn't just go viral. It became unforgettable. As the camera stayed locked on her and the room fell into a quiet, almost sacred stillness, Alexandra tried to regain control, but the emotion was too overwhelming to contain. Her breathing grew heavier, her voice trembled, and for a few seconds, it looked like she might not be able to say anything at all. But then she did something that turned an emotional reaction into a defining moment of her career. She spoke. And every word that followed felt real in a way that no scripted interview could ever replicate. There was no filter, no rehearsed lines, no polished media training, just honesty. She began by talking about what it truly feels like to carry her country with her every time she steps onto a tennis court. Not as a burden, not as pressure that weighs her down, but as something meaningful, something almost sacred. She described it as a responsibility she embraces, something that gives her strength rather than fear. You could hear it in her voice. This wasn't something she said because it sounded good. It was something she lived with every single day. Then she went back in time, to the moment everything changed. She spoke about being just a young girl, standing at an airport, saying goodbye to her family as she prepared to leave home and chase a dream that felt both exciting and terrifying at the same time. She described the silence that followed when she arrived in a completely different environment, far away from everything familiar. The adjustment wasn't easy. The loneliness was real. There were nights when everything felt too heavy, when the distance from home became almost unbearable. And in those moments, doubt crept in. She admitted something that many athletes rarely say out loud, that there were times when she questioned everything. Times when she wondered if the sacrifices were worth it, if the path she had chosen would actually lead somewhere meaningful. There were matches she lost that stayed with her longer than they should have. There were days when progress felt invisible, when all the hard work didn't seem to be paying off. And in those moments, it would have been easy to stop, to walk away, to choose comfort over struggle. But she didn't. And the reason she didn't became the emotional core of everything she said next. She talked about the people back home. Not in a general way, but in a very real, very vivid way. She spoke about fans waking up at impossible hours just to watch her matches. About families gathering around screens, following every point, every rally, every win and every loss. She spoke about messages of support, about the feeling of knowing that even when she was physically alone, she was never truly alone. That connection, that invisible thread linking her to millions of people, became her strength when everything else felt uncertain. And then she returned to the moment that had just shaken her so deeply, the tribute. Hearing those words, coming from someone she had grown up watching, someone she respected deeply, someone whose voice carried so much meaning in her home country, it hit differently. It wasn't just recognition. It was validation on a level she hadn't expected. It was as if all the years of effort, all the quiet sacrifices, all the moments of doubt suddenly aligned into one clear realization. It had all meant something. It had all been worth it. And that realization broke through every layer of composure she had built. As she continued speaking, the tears didn't stop, but her voice became steadier. There was strength in her vulnerability, a quiet power in the way she allowed herself to be seen exactly as she was in that moment. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't trying to create a perfect image. She was simply telling her truth. And that is what made it resonate so deeply with everyone watching. Within minutes, clips of her emotional speech began spreading across social media. What started as a single moment inside a press area in Miami quickly turned into a global wave of emotion. Across the Philippines, people reacted instantly. Screens lit up with messages, videos, and reactions. It didn't matter where they were, whether in the middle of the night or the middle of a busy day. People stopped to watch, to listen, to feel. Overseas Filipino communities, scattered across continents, shared the moment with pride. In cities far from home, the same video played on different screens, connecting people through a shared sense of identity and emotion. The comments that followed told their own story. Thousands of voices, all expressing the same feeling in different ways. Gratitude. Support. People thanked her for representing them, for showing the world what a Filipina athlete could achieve, for carrying their flag with dignity and heart. Others shared their own stories, connecting her journey to their own experiences of sacrifice, distance, and perseverance. It became more than a sports moment. It became something cultural, something deeply personal for an entire community. Back in Miami, the atmosphere around her shifted as well. What had started as a tournament appearance now carried a different energy. There was a sense that something important had happened, something that went beyond rankings or results. The anticipation for the full tribute back home began to grow rapidly. People wanted to see more. They wanted to understand the full story, to go deeper into the journey that had led to this moment. Conversations began everywhere, online, on television, in everyday life. What moments would be included? What parts of her story had yet to be told? There was a genuine hunger to see not just the athlete, but the person behind the achievements. And at the center of it all was a simple truth that became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just about tennis. This was about possibility. About what can happen when talent meets determination and is fueled by something deeper than personal ambition. Her story started to represent something bigger, a shift in belief. Parents began pointing to her as an example for their children, not just in sports, but in life. Coaches used her journey to inspire young players who might have once believed that the highest levels of competition were out of reach. She became living proof that those limits were not as fixed as they seemed. And that impact, that shift in mindset, carried weight far beyond any match result. It reached into the future, into the dreams of those who were just beginning their own journeys. So when she stood there in Miami, with tears in her eyes and her voice shaking, she wasn't just reacting to a tribute. She was expressing something much larger. Gratitude for the path she had taken. Gratitude for the people who supported her. Gratitude for the opportunity to represent something bigger than herself. It was the kind of moment that doesn't fade quickly. The kind that stays with you, that you remember not because of what happened, but because of how it made you feel. And in the end, that is what makes stories like this so powerful. Not the victories, not the headlines, but the human moments in between. The ones that remind us why we care in the first place.